Ilham Omar is garbage. She's garbage. Her friends are garbage. These aren't people that work. These aren't people that say, let's go, come on, let's make this place great. These are people that do nothing but complain.
Complain.
Good day, everyone. Donald Jabba the Hutt Trump is once again having a tantrum and throwing all of his toys out of his big boy pram after once again being roasted by Minnesota Democrat Ilhan Omar. Now, to be fair, Ilhan Omar was already making Trump cry just by existing. I mean, she's a Muslim, she's black, she's from Africa, and most despicably of all, she's a woman who is smarter than Trump. Okay, low bar, she's significantly smarter than Trump. Okay, that's a low bar again. Her intellect makes Trump's brain look like the universe before the Big Bang happened. I'm going to show you Trump's embarrassing meltdown, analyse the genius roasting that caused him to wet his nappy, and maybe make a few toilet humour jokes along the way. Because I'm a serious and very sensible political commentator on YouTube, a platform with a very high barrier for entry. Almost as high as a barrier for entry as Trump's cabinet. So if you like your humour as dry as Trump's nappy is wet, be a good chum and subscribe. Alright, so let's have a look at Trump's latest temper tantrum. Now, this highly coherent, intelligent, respectful presidential press conference started out with Trump talking about Tim Walz, and then somehow, for some weird reason for Donald Trump, spiraled insanely into him ranting about Ilhan Omar. Check this out. Now, before I show you this clip, let's remember that everything Trump says about other people is usually a projection of what he's like. Just keep that in mind.
And you know, I think we have a tremendous bench, really a tremendous bench. But no, I think that Walz is a grossly incompetent man. There's something wrong with him. Okay, there's something wrong with him. And when you look at what he's done with Somalia, which is barely a country, you know, they have no anything. They just run around killing each other.
I don't know what to begin with this. It's barely a country? What does that mean? Like legally? Mr. President, just because you can't find it on a map doesn't mean it's not a country. And he's talking shit about their murder rate, but I do think if Trump looked into the facts, that's likely, he probably would actually realize that Somalia is a brilliant country. Check this out. So we're looking at crime statistics comparing Somalia and the United States. This is actually mind-blowing. Check this out. Drug use, annual cannabis use, 2.5%. Ranked 4th. USA, 13.7%. Ooh, reefer madness, scary. Drugs, opiates use, 0.2% in Somalia, 0.57% in the USA, so, you know, more people strung out on the streets here. Justice system, punishment, capital punishments last year, 2014, ranked first, the same as the USA. So they're actually, they're almost, we're tied for amount of morally unjustifiable executions by the state. That's exciting. Murders, according to the World Health Organization, 3.3, and America, 5.6. USA. Punishment, crimes possibly attracting life sentence. Sodomy, adultery, crimes against humanity in America varies by state because of the namby-pamby liberals. This is stuff Republicans love, outlawing sodomy and adultery. And I think the reason they love making sodomy and adultery a crime is because it makes it even more thrilling when they do it. However, because I care about, you know, the truth on this channel, I try to be impartial. So you know, I want to acknowledge this website. I'm pretty sure most of what they're comparing is per capita, but it's, you know, data that is not always perfect. It's usually helpful, but you should always second guess your data unless you're a Republican, in which case any data you see you should just ignore and go la 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 la. So if you ask Google, that purveyor of pure and righteous fact, you know, about this, it says the murder rate in Somalia is lower than the USA. However, crime statistics can be difficult to verify accurately, especially in a country like Somalia with a breakdown in law and order. Which, you know, that's fair. And while we're being fair, I wonder what the crime rate in America compares like to, you know, other parts of the world as we're playing this game. Let's just have a look. I mean, America compared to, like, I don't know, an average European country, for example. I'm sure Trump hates all of those. Let's look it up. Oh, interesting. America's crime rate is significantly higher than the average European country, particularly in violent crimes like homicide and a word that I'm pretty sure YouTube does not like me saying. For example, the US homicide rate is roughly 4 to 7 times higher than in Europe, and the YouTube unfriendly word is about 7 times higher. And interestingly, if you look up how does Somalia's murder rate compare to other African nations, you'll find that Somalia's murder rate is lower than many other African nations, like South Africa, Donald Trump's favorite country, the one he keeps trying to import people from. If you hate murder so much, maybe leave those stabbing South Africans where they are. I'm a firm believer that if you love something, you have to be willing to also accept its flaws. That goes for human beings, countries, cheeses. I'm just kidding, aged British cheddar. You're perfect, never change. And there's so much about America that I love, but it is concerning or strange that this is the country with, it's called itself the richest country in the world, the best country in the world, the most free, and yet there's all this stabbing and auto theft and sex crimes going on. Like, what's happening? Anyway, off topic. Let's carry on.
There's no structure. And when I see somebody like Ilham Omar, who I don't know at all, but I always watch her for years. I've watched her complain about our Constitution, how she's being treated badly. Our Constitution, the United States of America, is a bad place. Hates everybody, hates Jewish people, hates everybody.
I think Jewish people are included in the term hates everybody, but I guess it's good to make sure that everyone feels welcome. Also, it's a bit rich of him to accuse her of disregarding the Constitution, considering this is a man who uses the Constitution to wipe the McDonald's grease off his chin every night.
People hates everybody. And I think she's an incompetent person. She's a real terrible person. But when I watch what is happening in Minnesota, the land of 1,000 lakes, or however many lakes they have, they got a lot of lakes.
It's like you can watch parts of his brain dying in real time. Like, why is nobody not calling this man an ambulance? He needs help.
And now I'm understanding, and you're going to look at that, Scott. I hear they ripped off Somalians, ripped off that state for billions of dollars, billions, every year, billions of dollars, and they contribute nothing. The welfare is like 88%. They contribute nothing.
Wow, Donald Trump is increasingly starting to look like a bumhole with eyebrows. Now, if you don't know what he's talking about, there was some recent news that some Somalian individuals in Minnesota have been charged with embezzling funds from pandemic relief funds, stuff like that, food relief, that kind of thing, which is obviously despicable. But, interestingly, you'll never hear Trump talk about the two Republican politicians who were convicted for stealing COVID-19 funds.
Billions of dollars.
Billions of dollars.
Every year. Billions of dollars.
He's just saying words.
And they contribute nothing. The welfare is like 88%.
See what I said earlier about Trump talking about himself because Trump contributes nothing, and as far as welfare, he's embezzled billions of dollars from average American citizens through his weird and hugely distasteful crypto schemes.
Nothing. I don't want them in our country. I'll be honest with you. Okay. Somebody would say, "Oh, that's not politically correct." I don't care. I don't want them in our country. Their country is no good for a reason. Their country stinks, and we don't want them in our country. I could say that about other countries too. I can say it about other countries too. We don't want them to hell. We have to rebuild our country. Our country's at a tipping point. We could go bad. We're at a tipping point.
Yes, America is at a tipping point, and Donald Trump's enormous arse is firmly placed on one side of the scale.
I'm saying that, but I'm saying it. We could go one way or the other, and we're going to go the wrong way if we keep taking in garbage into our country. Ilham Omar is garbage. She's garbage. Her friends are garbage. These aren't people that work. These aren't people that say, "Let's go, come on, let's make this place great." These are people that do nothing but complain. Complain.
You know what I said earlier about him projecting? What is this whole thing being? Every press thing now is just him whining for 5 minutes. Except I wish whining isn't a fair description. If it was whining, it would be less embarrassing and less just revolting than what this is. This is an 80-year-old man basically ranting about people, calling them garbage, dehumanizing people. Remember how recently Republicans were saying, "Oh, Democrats have got to stop using dehumanizing language about us"? He's calling people garbage. Is that cool?
These are people that do nothing but complain. They complain, and from where they came from, they got nothing. They came from paradise, and they said, "This isn't paradise."
Why would an immigrant ever talk like that? This isn't paradise. Most immigrants aren't two geckos shoved into a suit, so they don't go meh when they're talking, like a weirdo.
They came from paradise, and they said, "This isn't paradise." But when they come from hell, and they complain, and do nothing but bitch, we don't want them in our country. Let them go back to where they came from and fix it. Okay. Thank you very much, everybody.
Wow. Oh, my God. Great and very coherent speech, sir. It is insane. His first term was bad, but the fact that they've replaced everyone in that room basically with sycophants, and even the sycophants now, if he gets mad at them, he'll call them fake news or he'll tell them that their outlet is failing. It's just insane. This country, there's something deeply wrong when a man who is clearly losing his marbles, like he looks like he should be in a home. Like if you encountered somebody like on the street being like, the garbage, they come from garbage, the paradise, you'd be like, oh my goodness, are you okay? Do you have kids, or did you escape from a home maybe? But instead he sat in the office of the highest country in the world, supposedly, leaving stains on the chair and rambling incoherently. And after he finishes, the reporters are like, hey! I don't know what to tell you. Human beings are a failed experiment. That's all I'll say. Now, in case you're wondering what Ilhan Omar did to make Trump beat his tiny little fists angrily on the floor, other than the obvious sin of being an intelligent woman, let me take you through a history of their interactions, because it's really quite delicious. Their interactions actually go back a long while, and Donald Trump's bottom has been enormously hurt about her for quite a bit. So in 2019, he tweeted about her saying she should basically go back to where she came from. Trump has claimed for a while and recently doubled down on the idea that Ilhan Omar married her brother to enter the US illegally, which I'm not going to waste your time showing the Snopes article, but, spoiler alert, didn't happen. He's repeatedly talked about having her deported and actually said this very recently.
And we frankly don't need their people coming into our country telling us what to do.
And you talk about denaturalizing.
I'm talking about like Somalia, where you have a congressman goes around telling everybody about our Constitution, and yet she supposedly came into our country by marrying her brother. Well, if that's true, she shouldn't be a congressman, and we should throw her the hell out of our country.
Yes, I love the irony of him saying that she doesn't respect the Constitution when he's the one saying he wants to denaturalize people because they hurt his fifis.
I look at somebody that comes from Somalia where they don't have anything. They don't have police, they don't have military, they don't have anything. All they have is crime. And she comes in and tells us how to run our country. The Constitution says this, the Constitution. The whole thing is crazy.
Wow, it's amazing how he just repeats the same incoherent thing over and over again. That's definitely the sign of a very stable person with a great brain and a not failing memory. But honestly, the best thing about the way Ilhan Omar roasted him and set him off is that unlike him, she doesn't need to ramble forever and talk incoherently and make childish attacks to try and get to her. Because she's not a dumb shit, she can say one line that can cause him to spiral this hard. See what she said here. So in response to that very video, she tweeted, "Unlike you, I can read, and that's why I know what the Constitution says," which is just, this man, he's losing his, he's, most of this is about that tweet. That single tweet has caused him to crash out. It's so funny. The amazing thing about this insult is for how short it is, it's actually really clever. She stooped to his level. It seems childish. You can't read, but it's actually based off lots of evidence saying that. There's literally whole articles about the fact that maybe Donald Trump can't actually read. I think Pete Davidson said on SNL Trump struggled to read the script and stuff. There is a lot of evidence out there that he maybe can't quite read the same level as, an average, clever, adult human being. Anyway, I think it's good that politicians like Ilhan Omar are following the path that I guess Gavin Newsom sort of set, and kind of just clapping back a bit, because obviously there was a while when Democrats would be like, oh, when they go low, we go high, and that doesn't work. It doesn't work with children. They don't care. They don't care that you understand more than them, or that you're nicer than them and kinder than them. They don't care that you haven't shat your pants and they have, because they'll just say, you're Mr. Poopy Pants, and their followers will be like, that's right, he is Mr. Poopy Pants. You have to speak to them on their level, and dismissing Trump with a flippant but slightly childish response of, you can't read, is genius. I think it's great. Thanks for watching, guys. If you want more whimsical commentary on our totally not whimsical dystopia, make sure you're subscribed, and I'll see you next time.